Great.
How many of us are familiar with the term culture shock?
Absolutely.
Okay. Have you even thought about what it really means though? According to an article by Junzi Zia in the International Journal of Psychological Studies, the term culture shock was introduced by an anthropologist, Kalerva Oberg, who described it as being, and I quote, the psychological disorientation experienced by people who suddenly enter radically different cultural environments to live and work. Good afternoon. My name is Grace Christie. I am a student at the Clover Park Technical College and a recent immigrant from Jamaica. Thank you for inviting me to speak here today. In my presentation, I will use my personal experience to demonstrate culture shock with regard to three areas: racial diversity, climate, and social status. Racial diversity. Coming from a country like Jamaica, the first thing that probably hits you on arrival in America is that the tables have turned with regard to racial diversity. Jamaica, with a population that is approximately 98% black and 1% white, makes you immediately notice that your racial group is actually in the vast minority. You later learn that you belong to a minority racial ethnic group, which in my case is African American. Formerly you were just black. Considering too that the 1% white population of Jamaica belongs almost exclusively to the upper echelons of society, you also experience culture shock in observing the wide range of jobs done across the board by the white population here. That takes some getting used to. Climate. Climate is another variable that is immediately observed, particularly if you arrive in the fall or winter months. Your immediate response is probably something like, why did I ever leave warm Jamaica to come and live in this icebox? To give you an idea about our climate in Jamaica, we even have a popular song entitled 96 degrees in the shade. We jokingly like to describe our temperature as being hot and hotter. Temperatures normally range between 85 and 98 degrees Fahrenheit. If we ever get below 80 degrees, and we sometimes do, it's considered to be really cold. Do I need to tell you then about adjusting to the Washington state climate? The rain is fine. We're accustomed to a lot of rain in Jamaica. But I am still having a problem with dealing with temperatures below 50 degrees. Social status. In Jamaica, for generations, my family has been considered to be middle class. Since coming here, I have learned that I am lower income. That is indeed culture shock. You see, Jamaica is a very classist society. And on hearing lower income, I immediately translate that to mean lower social class. I can therefore fully identify with Kamina Robinson, a fellow Jamaican living in New York, who in an interview following her swearing in as an American citizen was quoted in the New York Times as saying, and I quote, her formerly middle-class family suffered a big culture shock, having to start from the bottom all over again in the US. Most migrants are not prepared for the difficulty and our failure to gain meaningful employment within a relatively reasonable period after resettling in the US. And that certainly affects social status. In commenting on a study about the effects of culture shock on Caribbean migrants to Canada, Neil Armstrong acknowledged the difficulty faced by immigrants in obtaining jobs in their fields and in keeping their level of training. Similar conditions prevail here in the US. In conclusion, as I promised, I have used my personal experience and observations since arriving in the US just about 18 months ago to demonstrate culture shock as it relates to racial diversity, climate, and social status. The logical question might therefore now be, how does one get over culture shock? My approach is to make a determined effort to adapt to my new cultural environment by learning the US culture while sharing my own rather than offering resistance. It was my choice to migrate based on certain goals I have set for myself and my family. My intention is that at the end of the day, I can say, like Amina Robinson did at the close of her interview, I still complain that it's cold here, but I'm happy now.
Nice.